Good evening, everyone. It's an honor to be here with you today, sharing something that has completely changed the trajectory of my life. If I could only leave you with one thing today, it would be this: consistency is the secret to success. But it's not just about being consistent in your actions, it's about forcing yourself to stay committed, even when the world tries to pull you in a million different directions. You see, I've been on this journey of self-mastery and personal growth for years, and I can tell you from personal experience, consistency is everything. I've had moments in my life when I was motivated, excited, and full of energy about my dreams. But motivation alone is not enough. Motivation fades, but consistency builds. It's the unsung hero of success. Consistency is often seen as the silent partner of success. The unsung hero that works behind the scenes, slowly but surely propelling us toward our goals. But let me tell you, consistency is the key to everything. It's the bridge between where you are now and where you want to be. It's not about having massive bursts of energy. It's about the small, disciplined actions you take day in and day out. Now, I know that many of you have big dreams, dreams that light you up, dreams that fill you with excitement. But if I'm being honest with you, dreams without consistency are just daydreams. We all know the story. You start something new and the excitement is palpable. You feel unstoppable. The motivation is high and you're ready to crush it. But here's the problem. Motivation fades. It's fleeting. It's like a fire that burns bright and hot at first, but if you don't feed it, it will eventually burn out. So what do most people do? They wait for the motivation to return. They wait for the inspiration to hit them like a lightning bolt, and then they will get back to work. But that's not the way to build anything lasting. What you really need is to build the habit of showing up even when you don't feel like it, even when the motivation isn't there, even when everything in your life feels like it's conspiring against you. That's where true success lies. In those moments where you push through the resistance, where you keep going even when the road gets tough. Here's the truth. Success doesn't come from bursts of motivation. It comes from consistent, disciplined actions. Let's be real. There are days when you don't feel like getting out of bed. There are days when you don't feel like going to work or making that sales call or hitting the gym. But here's the game changer. Those are the days that matter the most. When you can push past your feelings and show up anyway, that's when you start building the muscle of consistency. And just like a muscle, the more you exercise it, the stronger it gets. I've had days where I wanted to quit, where I felt like everything I was doing wasn't making any difference. I've been there, stuck in a cycle of doubt, wondering if all the effort I was putting in was worth it. But what I learned through those tough times is this: it's not about the immediate result. Success doesn't happen overnight. It's the cumulative effect of the small, consistent actions you take every single day. Those actions compound over time. They might seem insignificant in the moment, but trust me, over time, they create massive results. One of the most powerful realizations I've had is that consistency is not about perfection. It's not about doing everything perfectly. It's about showing up, doing your best in that moment, and trusting that those efforts will lead you somewhere amazing. Too many people get caught up in the idea that they have to be perfect to succeed. But that's not true. Consistency is about progress, not perfection. It's about improvement, not being flawless. When you focus on simply showing up and doing the work, the perfection will come naturally over time. Creating the habit of consistency starts with understanding that habits are the foundation of success. You cannot rely on motivation alone to carry you through the tough times. Motivation is fleeting, but habits are what sustain you. Think about any successful person you've ever admired, whether it's an athlete, a business leader, or an artist. The one thing they all have in common is their ability to create habits that align with their goals, and then they stick to them. That's how they make progress. When I first started out on my journey, I realized that if I was going to achieve anything meaningful, I had to build a system of habits that would ensure my success no matter how I felt. At first, it felt hard, and I wanted to quit on many occasions. The discomfort of creating a new routine was real. But what I've learned is this: consistency isn't about forcing yourself to do something you hate every day. It's about developing habits that are simple, sustainable, and aligned with your greater vision. So, how do you create these habits? It all starts with a decision. You have to make the decision that consistency is more important than motivation, and then you must design your habits around the life you want to live. If you want to be fit, your habit could be working out for just 30 minutes every morning. If you want to build a successful business, your habit could be dedicating 1 hour each day to focused work. The key is to keep it simple and start small. Don't try to overhaul everything at once. Instead, take baby steps. Start with one small habit that you can commit to, and once that becomes a routine, add another one. Over time, you'll start seeing results because the power of consistency lies in repetition. When you repeat the same actions day after day, they eventually become automatic. You won't have to force yourself to do them. They'll be embedded into your daily rhythm. Think about brushing your teeth or tying your shoes. You don't have to think about it. It's a habit you've developed over time. And it doesn't take any effort. That's the power of consistency. It becomes a part of who you are. But there's something else I want to emphasize here. Habits are not just about the small, mundane things. They are the things that shape your future. The habits you form today will determine your reality tomorrow. If you commit to reading for just 15 minutes a day, in a year you'll have read several books that could change your life. If you commit to saving a small amount of money every day, in 5 years, you'll have built a significant amount of wealth. The magic of consistency lies in its compounding effect. What feels like a small action today becomes a game changer tomorrow. It's not about doing something big and bold every day. It's about showing up consistently even when the results aren't immediate. And trust me, you'll be amazed at what happens when those small habits stack up over time. One of the keys to consistency is to remove the pressure of perfection. Many people quit before they even get started because they're afraid of making mistakes or not being perfect. But consistency is about progress, not perfection. You'll make mistakes, you'll face setbacks, and you'll encounter obstacles along the way, but if you've committed to showing up every day and doing your best, that's what matters. Don't focus on how perfect you are. Focus on how often you show up. That's the difference between those who achieve their dreams and those who don't. Consistency isn't about being flawless. It's about never giving up, no matter how hard it gets. As you start to implement these habits into your daily life, don't expect to see immediate results. Success doesn't happen overnight. But here's the secret. When you're consistent, results will eventually show up in ways you never expected. You'll see growth in your skills, in your personal development, and even in your relationships. It's the small daily actions that lead to massive long-term success. So start today, build your habits, commit to consistency, and watch as your life transforms in ways that will leave you speechless. Consistency is not just about building habits. It's about overcoming resistance. The resistance that whispers in your ear and tells you to take a break, to skip today's workout, to procrastinate, to not pick up the phone for that important call, or to put off your work until tomorrow. That resistance is the biggest enemy you'll ever face in your journey to success. It's the voice inside your head that creates doubt, fear, and hesitation. It's the part of you that wants to protect you from discomfort and the unknown. But here's what I've learned. Resistance is your biggest opportunity to grow. When I first started in my business, there were days I didn't feel like working. I'd wake up exhausted and my mind would start to convince me that it would be okay to take a day off. You deserve a break, it said. You've been working hard. But if I had listened to that voice, I wouldn't be where I am today. Resistance is a liar. It disguises itself as self-care, comfort, and safety, but it's actually holding you back from reaching your true potential. If you listen to that voice, you'll end up stuck. If you give in to resistance, you will never push yourself beyond your limits. What's worse is that resistance knows how to play on your weaknesses. It'll tell you to relax, rest, or slow down at the exact moment when you're on the edge of a breakthrough. It's sneaky like that. It knows exactly how to get you to avoid doing the very thing that would lead you to the next level. That's why you can't trust your emotions in these moments. Your feelings will lie to you. They will tell you that it's okay to give up, to quit, to stop pushing. And let me tell you something. If you quit, you'll never see what's waiting on the other side of that resistance. The key to forcing yourself to be consistent is to learn how to deal with resistance head on. You have to recognize it for what it is and not let it control you. When I'm facing resistance, I remind myself that this is the moment when my growth is happening. Resistance is an invitation to level up. The moment you feel that resistance, that's when you have to push harder, because on the other side of that struggle is something great waiting for you. If you can keep going when it's hard, that's when you make the leap from where you are to where you want to be. Now, let's be clear. Resisting resistance doesn't mean ignoring your needs or pushing yourself to the point of burnout. I'm not saying you should work yourself to exhaustion or disregard self-care. But there's a difference between real fatigue and the laziness that resistance tries to instill in you. Real fatigue is the feeling that comes when you've genuinely given your best and your body or mind needs rest. But laziness is when you're just trying to avoid doing the work because it's uncomfortable or inconvenient. And that's what resistance thrives on. So how do you fight resistance? You fight it with action. The best way to deal with resistance is to take the first step. When you feel that urge to stop, when you feel that resistance building up, don't give in. Take one small action. That's how you break through. I don't need you to take massive steps every single day. I need you to take one step. Get started. Once you start, it gets easier. The hardest part is getting past that initial moment of resistance. And once you do, the momentum will carry you forward. And here's another thing. Resistance is often a sign that you're on the right track. When you're on the verge of a breakthrough, resistance is loudest. It's when you're about to take a step that will change everything that resistance shows up. It doesn't show up when you're on the wrong path. It shows up when you're doing something significant. The bigger the goal, the louder the resistance. So rather than seeing resistance as something to fear, view it as a sign that you're headed in the right direction. When you consistently show up despite the resistance, something incredible happens. You build mental toughness. You start to develop a mindset that says, I can push through anything. And once you've experienced that feeling of pushing past resistance, of seeing yourself win after facing the toughest challenges, you realize that you can do anything. That's when consistency becomes unstoppable. So don't back down from resistance. Don't listen to the voice that tells you to stop. Recognize it for what it is, a sign that you're on the verge of something great. And then do what successful people do. Keep going. Keep showing up. Keep doing the work. Because when you push through resistance, that's when success is not just a possibility, it becomes inevitable. Consistency isn't just about resisting the urge to quit. It's also about developing the internal discipline to maintain your focus on the things that matter most, no matter what distractions or temptations come your way. Life is full of distractions: social media, television, endless emails, and endless news cycles, all pulling for your attention, trying to divert your focus away from the goals you've set. But here's the thing. Where your focus goes, your energy flows. And if your energy is scattered across too many different things, you won't have enough left to put into the one thing that will truly move you forward. When I first started, I found myself constantly pulled in different directions. There were so many opportunities, so many things that seemed important, but none of them were really helping me achieve the vision I had for my life. I'd start a project, get excited about it, and then before I knew it, I'd be distracted by something else. The result? I wasn't making the progress I wanted. It wasn't because I lacked ambition or desire. It was because I wasn't focusing my energy in the right direction. Here's where consistency becomes a game changer. It's not just about showing up every day. It's about showing up and committing to the things that will actually move the needle in your life. Focus is the secret sauce to consistency. You have to learn to say no to the distractions that will only steal your time and energy. I've had to learn the hard way that the most successful people are often the ones who have mastered the art of focus. They know that saying no to distractions means saying yes to their goals. And I know what some of you are thinking, but Myron, I'm busy. I have so much on my plate. Let me be honest with you. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. Successful people don't have more hours. They just focus on the right things. The key to becoming consistent is not simply about working harder. It's about working smarter and putting your energy toward the things that matter most. If you spread yourself too thin, you'll be ineffective. But if you can focus your efforts on one thing at a time, consistently working toward that goal, you'll be amazed at how quickly you can make progress. Consistency without focus is like trying to fill a cup with water while it's sitting under a leaky faucet. You're working hard, but the water is dripping out just as fast as you're pouring it in. You're putting in the effort, but it's not going anywhere. That's what happens when you're distracted. You end up expending a lot of energy without seeing any results. But when you focus your energy and your actions, the results will follow. You see, consistency requires you to stay aligned with your purpose and vision. It requires you to get rid of the clutter in your life, to block out the noise, and to direct all your energy into achieving your goals. The more focused you are, the easier it will be to stay consistent. This is why the successful people you admire have such clear priorities. They know what matters and they keep their eyes locked on it, refusing to be sidetracked. When you have that kind of laser focus, distractions lose their power. You don't get tempted by every new thing that comes along because you're already deeply committed to the one thing that's most important to you. I know this is easier said than done. There will always be temptations, always be new things pulling for your attention. But what I want you to understand is that focus is not something that happens by accident. It's a skill that must be developed. The more consistently you choose to focus on your goal, the more natural it will become to block out distractions. You can start by creating an environment that supports your focus. Eliminate anything that pulls you away from what you're working on. If you're trying to write a book, for instance, turn off your phone, close your email, and create a quiet space where you can immerse yourself fully in your work. The more you protect your focus, the easier it becomes to show up every day and stay consistent. As you begin to build this focus into your life, you'll also start to see the power of momentum. Focus creates momentum, and momentum is what allows you to keep going even when things get tough. You'll begin to experience a snowball effect, where each small action you take builds upon the previous one, propelling you forward faster than you thought possible. It's the result of consistent, focused action that compounds over time. When you keep your focus locked in, no matter what challenges or distractions come your way, you create momentum that carries you through the toughest of times. Focus is everything. When you focus on the right things and you commit to consistently showing up for them, you can move mountains. But it all starts with knowing where to place your attention and putting your energy into the one thing that will move you forward. You have the power to make this shift today. All it takes is a decision to focus on what matters and eliminate everything else. Then, as you start to see the results of your focus, you'll realize just how powerful consistency really is. You'll begin to understand that success isn't just about hard work. It's about focused, consistent work. And that's when everything in your life begins to change.